Forgive me, Father, if I've sinned. Brendan looked really good in his priest outfit, didn't he?
He really did, especially with the tattoos.
Excuse me.
That's a good little thirsty.
Excuse me. Woo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, that's blasphemous. We're not allowed to like that. All right. So,
oh, yeah, that's right. Whoops.
As I was saying, most of our viewers and listeners will know Brendan McGowan from multiple ghost music videos, most notably Square Hammer. And he is where he is playing Papa 3 or Terzo. And we got into a lot of that during this episode, and so many other things like his amazing band, which marries opera with black metal. He's a drummer for that. They're hopefully going on tour pretty soon. If you guys want to check out Folterkammer.
Yeah, Folterkammer.
I can't say
that was good.
That was pretty good?
That was pretty good German, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Was there anything in particular you enjoyed talking about with Brendan?
Just really liked diving into his process of how he his acting process, basically, and how he and Zev Deans, the director he works with all the time, they just bounce off of each other and they just kind of let the creativity flow. I love hearing a process like that because that's a good partnership and they can get lots of creativity done without having much direction involved. They can just go and do it, and I love that acting process.
Oh, and just having that trust in a creative partner is wonderful. Like I feel that that companionship and trust and creativity, in particular with you and Vita.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I was definitely like, like a lot of that was resonating with me when he was saying, and and Zev and I can read each other's minds pretty much, or we just say like one thing and the other person knows exactly what we're talking about. It's so cool having those relationships with people.
100%.
And I hope they get to work together more.
I know. I'd love to see more from them in the near future.
I'm sorry. I'm still laughing about your reaction to when I was like, and that white suit that went up for sale from He Is. You're like,
I had to like hold it in because I'm like, oh God, here we go.
It's so funny. And I remember you asked me, you're like this is something you asked me like behind the scenes. You're like, did they wash it before it was sold to like the second owner? Yeah. I was like, ooh, I don't know.
Because I'm like, that's
worth some money.
That's some DNA
to begin with. Is when something's unwashed like that.
Essence of McGowan.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go to confessional again. Sorry.
Yeah. It's okay. I have one at 1:00, so tomorrow. So join me.
I have just a rotating permanent appointment.
Yeah,
every morning for a confessional.
Clergy Talk, where faith takes flight.
Brendan, because I've known you for a while now, and like we've already talked about a lot of this stuff. I didn't feel like it was so important to have this super itemized list.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
it'll be easy to get into it. How was your day, by the way? You said chaotic right now, or
chaotic in a good way. Yeah, my I volunteer every Monday. So I was doing that, and then I was gonna go to the tattoo shop to just like hang, but then they were like, "Oh, we decided to go to the Met," so we went to the Met, and then I went and talked to a friend of mine who's a pedicab driver in Central Park, because I used to work in Central Park, so I know all the pedicab tour guides and stuff, and they so he like gave me and another artist a ride around, and it was just a day. We went to the Met. I saw my favorite painting of all time.
What was it?
The Isle of the Dead. Do you know it?
Oh, nice.
Arnold Bauchlin. It's from 1880 something. I should know because I literally just read the placard today. But it's a funny story, actually. I found out about it when I was, 18 or something, because I was really into classical, like first really getting, introducing myself to classical music. And then I became obsessed with Rachmaninoff, obviously, because I'm goth. And And then just reading about Rachmaninoff and The Isle of the Dead being his most goth piece, and I was like obsessed with it. And I read that it was inspired by a painting. And I looked up the painting and I was like, oh, amazing painting. But then I read the crazy story about it, which was that Lachlan painted 3 iterations of it. And the one that's hanging in the Met in New York that I saw today is like a fully saturated one. And it is great. It's very moving. I mean, I stared at it for an hour today, but the original one was in black and white and sort of more of a sketch. They brought Sergei Rachmaninoff to see it hanging, and they showed him the color version that was a later version, and he was like, I fucking hate this. Like, I never would have composed that piece had I seen this version. It doesn't move me at all, which I think is just amazing to think that like that piece of music almost never came to be because he, was moved by a particular version of it. I think that the version that's hanging in the Met, which is not Rachmaninoff's favorite, is really nice. But the black and white one is like particularly eerie. But today it's just amazing. It's an amazing painting. It's like both serene and horrifying at the same time. It's like somehow I think it's the greatest representation of like what death should feel like ever made. So that was my day in a nutshell. I confronted death at the Met.
As you should.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun day. It sounds like definitely a fun day. I'm glad you brought up artwork because over maybe the last year or so, I've noticed your artistry picking up more, and that's something that previously I didn't know about you. And I'm enjoying seeing you go through doing more and more tattoos, and I really like your artistic style. Where did that come about? Do you know how that started to develop?
Yeah, I mean, I started tattooing when I was in college, which was almost 20 years ago. Maybe it was a little over 10 years ago. I was like about to graduate from acting school, and I was like, I'm not going to be some waiter in LA acting, like auditioning, waiting tables. I had worked in restaurants as a kid and I hated it. My little brother is a chef,
I saw his video you guys did together. That was awesome.
Yeah, so he loves being in restaurants, and I don't ever want to be in a restaurant. But so I was like, I'm going to learn to tattoo. I was getting tattooed at Studio City Tattoo in LA by Mike Irwin. He was like my guy. He actually introduced me to Ghost. Like in the this was like 2010, 2011 probably. And he's an older dude who's super fucking sick, great tattoo artist. But I really wanted to apprentice with him, and it was out of the question. He was like, it's gonna cost you, and you're not gonna get paid for a while. And he's like, you're a good artist, but no. So I was like, well, to hell with that. I hate being told what to do. So I bought a crappy tattoo machine from like eBay, I think.
I was gonna say Amazon or something. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. And it was like it was very bad, like an old rattly coil machine, and just started tattooing then, and just was kind of self-taught. And for the past 10 plus years, it's just been a party trick. And then, one of my best friends owns a shop out here in New York, and he and I really started getting into tattooing years ago when we were living together, and we would just experiment on each other, and he got really good. Yeah, Johnny. He owns Macabre, the shop that I work at. And he's been saying, come here and tattoo more, because tattooing isn't like riding a bike. Like every time you take a break from it, you get worse.
Yeah.
You have to be really consistent. And all the artists there are really talented. And so it's like easy to, be like, oh shit, I need to step my game up. And then, during the film strikes in the fall, I was like, I'm never going to work again. And
dude,
I started part-time at the shop, and it's been a really nice way, like a separate kind of outlet to be able to kind of explore something very different from film. And it's also just chill, drink coffee, tattoo people. I get to do all the really evil, stuff that I want to do. So it's, that's been great.
We like evil stuff. I was wondering, when you are going to the Met, when you're going to a gallery, when you're appreciating art, or you said that you were sitting for an hour today and staring at one of your favorite pieces, or are you thinking about your tattoo artistry during that? Are you looking at saturation and shadows and line work and going, how can I implement that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Tattooing is, I mean, there are plenty of artists who do stylistically, things that are more similar to the kind of art that I'm really drawn to. I would say tattoo art is at least you kind of have to design based on what your kind of skill level is. So like my favorite painters, Bouguereau, like I can't tattoo that. It's impossible. They're masters. Like I love romantic era paintings and stuff that's really moving and really evocative and like not abstract. Tattooing has to be very, and I'm a fairly shitty tattooer. Still everyone book an appointment with me. I would love to tattoo.
It's looked good to me so far. I wish that I lived nearby.
But
I'd be right there.
You have like tattooing high saturation. I use exclusively black and red.
Yes.
Really
I saw
bold.
that.
There's a rule like bold will hold, is what they say in tattooing. Like so, I would say like at the Met, the art that is most tattooable from like where I'm sitting and the kind of tattooing that I do doesn't particularly move me. But it is, it's so cool. But and I like being, and I think that's what's fun about tattooing is that it's a challenge. That it's not like you're kind of within this narrow, like, okay, like I like to make designs that are challenging. Like I'll come out with a new design that I know will be really hard to tattoo, but like I'm confident that I'll be able to accomplish it. And then hopefully somebody comes in and it's like, I want that, and then that's kind of where the artistry comes in. It's you're like, oh, I get to kind of consistently grow that way. So I'd love to someday be able to tattoo something as skillful as a Bouguereau, but it's a pretty long way off. Like, for instance, today at the Met, I was more inspired, like my cinematography brain, like seeing the way shadows were, the compositions, things and stuff like that really. And a lot of my video work, you see ripoffs of paintings and classical artwork. Like that's where I use that stuff. I would say a little less in tattooing. Tattooing is like what's super fucking heavy metal and evil and cool, medieval, and what looks, would look cool and tough as a tattoo. But in cinematography, I want things to be very rich and beautiful and dark. And so, all day today I was taking pictures like that would be a great shot. This would be a great shot.
Oh yeah.
The composition is crazy. Like, I was mostly thinking of that today, actually. But.
That is very cool. And you mentioned darkness, and then earlier liking evil stuff. I have noticed a common theme in your work of darkness, evil, anti-theology. What are the humble beginnings of that? I mean, even down to your Instagram username, Unholy Roman. Right. What is that, and how did you come to this theme?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Because I'm goth and I'm evil.
Well, I think I always. My father tells the story of when I was very young. He was like channel surfing and he came across Nosferatu. I don't remember that, but the way he tells the story is very, it's a funny story, And he said I was like bouncing around. I was a toddler. And he said I stopped and just sat in front of the TV and watched Nosferatu, like through. And then he changed the channel. He just like let his 3-year-old son watch Nosferatu all the way through. And I mean, I have a massive Dracula poster here. I think I have a Nosferatu poster right there. So I've kind of always been drawn to that. And then as I got older, growing up in the South, encountering lots of religion.
Oh yeah.
And it was just like, I don't think ever for a second in my life I considered the legitimacy of it.
Good.
And then the older I get, the more it pisses me off, and it irritates me. Yeah, the username Unholy Roman, we talked a little bit about it.
Yeah, we did.
I was making a Twitter or a Tumblr, like in the early days of that stuff, and I needed
Tumblr.
Yeah, I think it was Tumblr actually, and it was. And I came up with Unholy Holy Roman because it was euphonous, right? Like it just had sonic quality, but it also was, I was like, thinking about the Holy Roman Empire and how governments and being intrinsically linked to religion, and how governments, legitimize all their evil, horrible things by utilizing religion, and that is like such a pervasive problem, and it's still happening very much right now.
Oh yeah,
surging actually right now, and so yeah, blaspheming the idea of the Holy Roman Empire, like unholy Roman, supposed to be a commentary on imperialism and religiosity within imperialism, and but I was pretentious back then. Pretentious now.
It's not pretentious to make like social and anti
as a user.
Wow, theology commentary as a username. Whether people do some deep thinking into it or not, it's just it looks really cool, man.
Yeah.
and also I appreciate the thought you put into it. So some of this this running theme carries over into your bands. Is it Folterkammer?
Folterkammer. Yeah.
Folterkammer, nice. Veronica was doing a bit of research today on that, and I think she has a question for you.
Yeah, so I was going to say, well, first off, how did you get involved with Folterkammer? Just out of curiosity. And then I was doing some more research before I watched this, and you did some of the music videos for it too, which are amazing. I especially loved, my German is terrible, but Lechmisch.
Yeah.
And oh god, my chicken scratch writing. The other one I really adored, going back to how you were talking about art when you're looking for ideas for your work, was Das
Peitschengedicht. My German is
Yes, those are both excellent videos that you did for the band. But yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Das Peitschengedicht is that video actually is all footage from the film Haxan.
Yes.
There, yeah. That one was we were just doing a lyric video. It was our first release ever.
Right.
On Century, like from the new album. And yeah, I was like looking at kind of trying to cross over the themes from the last record, which was a lot of like torture, Folterkammer, torture chamber in German.
Yes. Which
the
is
German
so
thing,
great.
Yeah, Andromeda.
Yes.
Our singer, she's a Swiss opera singer, and so all of our lyrics are in German. Yeah, I mean, she can always give a better breakdown of what the songs are about. The lyrics are really, all the themes are really amazing, and yeah, I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this.
Well, if I may, I was kidding. It's operatic black metal, and you guys wear red. Is it cardinal or bishop?
They're
robes?
cardinal outfits.
Yes. So already you're painting a picture here. What is Folterkammer like? What typically, what are the lyrics about? What's the ideology behind it?
Yeah. So I think most of it, like Vibermox, the new album, translates loosely. Like Viber is sort of a kind of like a critical, almost a slur directed at women in German. And so Andromeda sort of translates it to bitch power is the title.
Cool.
And so sort of that's kind of the common theme. There's a lot of dominatrix and sort of this female empowerment, a lot of like being the dominant female archetype, and which Andromeda embodies beautifully. That's like the theme. Yeah. And so I think we see it as, I mean, there's a lot. I think it evolved in a really strange way. I mean, we started out, so Zach from Imperial Triumphant and I go way back. We went to college together. We met in California like 15 plus years ago. And so he and I have been crossing over and doing all kinds of weird little side projects together over the years. And Darren, another member of Folterkammer, has always been composing these really amazing Baroque music. And the three of us just kind of had been sort of working on bringing these instrumentals to like a real harsh black metal kind of vibe. And then once Andromeda came into the picture, it was like, oh, wow, this is huge. Yeah, I think we try to, I know at least for me as the drummer, like it's important to like keep the rooting very much in black metal. I also think with black metal and classical music, it's really easy to drift. Like black metal and classical music, those are no strangers to one another. That's very much, you know, Dimmu Borgir and Cradle of Filth and millions of other bands have been doing incorporating classical. But with us, we wanted it to be like the black metal is the classical music,
right?
Or, you know, maybe the other way around. And I think it is sort of like our compositions are inherently classical, but they're really raw. And so I think with my drumming, I sort of try to keep the black metal going and like the influences of Blasphemy and Marduk and 1349, like, you know, that harsh black metal stuff. So the drums in particular on the album are just straight up. There's a little bit of noodling and doodling, but for the most part, it's true black metal. And because that when I listen to black metal, that's the stuff I like to listen to. I'm not particularly into a lot of like fanfare. I like really nasty stuff. And so, but yeah, I don't know. The whole
Filthy,
thing is
nasty metal.
filthy. I'm just evil. I want things to be evil.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can definitely feel it in the songs too. The heavy drums coming in along with the beautiful, you know, the vocals of Andromeda as well. So it's definitely a good combination that you've all created.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm glad. It seems like people are enjoying it. So I think we're looking at another tour. Hopefully we'll make it out way.
That'd be rad. I was going to ask you, how long ago did you go on your other tour?
It was in March. So
it was in March.
Yeah.
Where did you go, and were you a supporting act? Were you headlining? How well received was it?
We headlined, which was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
It was our first tour ever. I hadn't been on tour with a band really since I was like 18.
Wow.
Obviously, Zach plays in Imperial Triumphant. They're on the road all the time. And Laurent, our bass player, Andromeda, they tour. They're all I'm the only like sort of imposter in the band. Everybody else is just a full-time musician. So it was interesting. We toured with a band called Witching from Philadelphia. They're really, really rad and super fun to tour with. And they were just a really awesome hang. And I think we had a great time. It was like small venues, small crowds. Nobody knows who the hell we are. But it was like good to kind of like get our bearings, play the songs live for a couple of weeks and like really get a sense of how they sounded live and how we sounded live and if we could even play them. I mean, I recorded the drums for the new record in like August of 2021, maybe 2022.
Wow.
A long time ago. And so we hadn't really played them. And because, you know, Andromeda is in Switzerland, Laurent splits his time between Paris and here. Zach's always on the road. Darren had been living in the Bay Area for a long time and then had come here. So we were all over the place. I'm traveling for work all the time. So, you know, we had only really even been in the same room together as a full band a handful of times. And so this was like our time to be like, okay, can we pull this off? I think it sounded great. I had a lot of fun. I mean, I can't wait to do it again. It was a blast. Yeah.
I mean, you had so much fun that you lost your sleeves. On the,
Yeah,
on the
I
road.
had to cut the sleeves off. The outfit was, I had the full outfit when we shot the Anno Domina video.
It looked good.
Mhm.
And I was like, there's no way. It was just hot, but it was like it got the costumes custom made. Like we had to send in 50 different measurements to like an actual
And then you're like,
clerical.
I can't do this.
Yeah, it was wild. Those are like legitimate Catholic vestments that we ordered. It
Awesome.
took weeks to get custom made and then bring. And Darren made the upside down crucifixes from scratch, which is really fun. Yeah. But yeah, there's no way the sleeves were coming off. So I was going to wear it tonight in spirit of everything, but I look more like a Mortal Kombat character.
Exactly. Yeah, you're like, I look like a warrior now.
It really works. This is,
I feel like this works. This is perfect for our theme here, and I appreciate
my
it. And
Halloween costume. This has been my Halloween costume every year for at least 10 years.
Nice.
It fits the vibe. Do you have any props that you use with your costume? Do you have
No,
are you smoking your cigarette? Have a flask?
Well, there's always that, yeah. But that last year I wore red contact lenses with it. Spooked it up a little bit, yeah.
Love that.
But
now you've been involved in a ton of projects, whether it's your own projects with your friend Zev Dean's.
yes.
And I have noticed that you are no stranger to dressing up, to having crazy elaborate makeup put on you.
Yes.
Maybe you could elaborate a little bit more on it, but there's a music video where you as the devil. I mean, you're completely unrecognizable. How long were you in makeup for that?
There are a couple of those.
It was the most recent one. They did an article on it in like Revolver, I think.
Oh, that was Mastodon.
That was what?
Mastodon.
Oh yes, that's right. Thank you.
Beatrice Sniper did the makeup for that. She's a fucking genius.
It was incredible.
That was a couple hours for sure. It was like a full airbrush, and there were 5 like different prosthetics that went on, and it was a lot. I mean that stuff is, I love doing that stuff. I mean, like I said, I went to school for acting. I studied acting. That was like my first love. And when Zev and I met, it was very kismet. Like, he and I are like mind readers to one another. We are working together.
Connected.
Yeah. And it's been so long at this point. We've done, scores of projects together at this point. Sometimes I shoot them. Sometimes our friend Chris Raymond shoots them. For many of those, I'm acting in them. Sometimes I'm acting and shooting, which was the case for the Mayhem video and also the Mastodon video. So I shot that one. And
oh my God, dude.
That's crazy.
Costume. There's a funny photo somewhere of me like operating the camera like with
like the fingers. That's great.
That's awesome.
Full eye contact lenses with the horns, and big teeth. It was insane.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, he and I met. I guess that was in like 2014. And yeah, I had only ever seen his Portal video, which I don't know if you've seen that video. Everyone that listens to it, go listen to Portal.
Okay. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, they're unmatched. One of the wildest bands that has ever existed. Zev did a video for them that I still maintain to this day is like the greatest metal video of all time, if not one of the greatest videos of all time. It's just and I had seen that, so I was like a fan, but I never met him. And he posted online or something. He was looking for a roommate, and I was looking for a roommate in New York. And I actually texted Zach from Imperial Triumphant, who had helped him with a Behemoth video. I was like, what's this Dev guy all about? And then we met, and it was like...
Nice.
Yeah. We became roommates, and we turned our apartment into like a green screen studio.
Oh, that's perfect for you guys.
We shot all of Square Hammer in that apartment.
Wow.
we'll get to that, Veronica. Don't worry.
That's incredible.
that apartment. Yeah, I mean, Zev and I are like, I mean, we're family. He and I feel like brothers. Like we just do wild shit together. And
You guys do some wild shit.
He puts like the craziest costumes. I mean, I retired from acting many years ago. I think once I left LA, particularly. But Zev always like throws me back in the chair and gets me to do just the craziest shit. But
because
it's fun. I mean, it's I never say no because it's just always awesome.
I was just gonna say, because he knows you're good for it and you're gonna embody, whatever character, role, whatever he asks you to do, right?
Right.
That's good. And so where did Bradley Bailey come into the mix?
Yeah, so I met Bradley through Zev. Bradley Bailey is actually in the one in the Portal video.
Oh, cool. Oh, yes. Then I have seen that.
Yeah. So I met him through Zev, and yeah, Bradley was just a member of our family, and he and I actually went to the same high school in Atlanta, like just times. But yeah, I mean, he's now he's like been immortalized and iconic in the ghost lore. But
he's so much more than that, though.
Bradley was amazing. He was really, really brilliant musician and artist, like this very just kind of like I don't think I've ever met anybody who so genuinely like followed their own river. Like he was just an alien. I mean, he was like not long for this world, or an angel perhaps. He just did everything that he did was so strangely brilliant and like genuine, and there was so much sort of heart and spirit in it. Like he very much lives on through his art and like all of the kind of the weird energy he like left us all with. He's the best. I love him.
I love the concept of just weird energy. You know what I mean? But it was so brilliant. Oh yeah, exactly. I have never met anyone like Bradley, and I never will.
That's right. You met him out there.
Oh yeah, a few times. Yeah, we hung out. He's and would do these really kind-hearted things that I didn't really pick up on at the time, and then later I think about it, I'm like, that was really awesome.
Yeah.
Like oh my god, I didn't even like pick up on what he was saying or what he was doing, and it was just, I mean, I could get into some examples later, but he's such a cool person. Again, we'll never be anyone like Bradley. So I'm
before and will never be again.
No. Yeah. On that note, what has it been like being able to work time and time again with your friends? For instance, working with Zeb Deans, whether you're the cinematographer, whether you're acting. I'm sure you've like maybe co-directed a couple things. You've worked with Liz Fenning, who you've worked with on ghost videos, but also worked with on a movie. Yes. Bradley, like, how does it feel? Is it like a family coming together and creating another baby?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think I always, a director that I worked with years and years ago, who's much older than me, once told me when he was casting a play that he had cast me in, he was like, I look at he was like, the person that I would rather have a beer with will always get the part more than the person that may have given the better audition. And I think about that a lot. And I also feel like I have very little control. This might sound insane, but I feel like I have very little control over who I work with. Like most of my creative career has been so organic that it just kind of unfolds in this strange way where people are amorphously my friends and my collaborators. And I mean, I don't know if I've ever consciously been like separated the two or merged the two. It just kind of happened that way. And I think also by virtue of the fact that like in order to be a working artist, you have to constantly be creating. And so you're just like calling these people up all the time. You spend a ton of time together. And Zev is so prolific. I mean, he and I are always like, okay, here's another one. Mm-hmm. And, we find our people that we love to work with, like Beatrice or Bradley, you know, and
Mhm.
we just are like bringing them back. Zev's really good about sort of cultivating this like band energy. And it's something I try and incorporate in my own work too. It's like just always yeah, I mean, I think it's like when you meet somebody and you really respect their work and you love them, you like want to work with them. That's just like, to me, that's what I have to offer. Like
Yes.
I'm like, I can make stuff with the stuff that you're making, or to go with the stuff that you're making, and whatever. And so like that's what I have to offer in a relationship, I think. And so that's usually just how it goes. It's like, oh, your stuff is really cool. I can make something for you.
Yes.
So that's just kind of like how it goes. And a lot of my music video stuff has been that way, musically too. Like that's just kind of how it goes. Like everything, it all just kind of feels like hanging out.
And feels like getting the band back together, you know, or family reunion, so to speak.
Yes.
Right. And everyone knows what everyone offers, which is really cool. So there's the familiarity of it all.
But I have other directors that I love working with. I mean, Maggie Talbot Minkin is a director and a writer who I have worked with a number of times on narrative stuff.
Cool.
Stuff, and you know, she's another one. Like we just have this sort of amazing sort of connection. Yeah, I think communication is really big, and trust is really big. And I think, you know,
The biggest.
a lot of people go into filmmaking with very little trust or a lot of stress or a lot of fear, and it can be scary. But I'm a firm believer in the fact that like filmmaking is not, despite what many film sets tend to feel like, it's not brain surgery. Like the stakes never be that high, and a lot of people, I think, find ways to validate their own experiences on film by making the stakes that high, and be stressful, and there should be someone yelling, and you know, and it's just kind of like, I really don't jive with that. I don't like that. I think if you go into it really stressed out, we're not going to get along.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, I also don't like working with people who really are like, the buck stops with me.
Ooh.
Or like, I don't like a gaffer who doesn't want to work together. I don't like an AC who doesn't want to listen to you. I don't like working with directors who are, you know, so in their own heads, or, you know, just don't want to, like, everything just needs to be collaborative, and fun. Like, it should just be fun. We're like, it's make believe. There's somebody over there in a costume.
Yes. And we're recording them.
And I'm pointing a camera at it, or I'm wearing the costume.
Yes.
No one should be yelling. This is everything we're doing is stuff that's for children.
Right.
Like, everybody should take a chill pill. And I think that's like how it should go. And a lot of that comes with having really skilled people on set to manage time and stuff like that. Good producers. But yeah, this was all very tangential. But yeah, this all relates
That's
to
what we're here for.
like, you know, because it's like, I want to work with people that are chill. It goes back to that, you know, drink a beer with somebody before, you know, because it's like, you're going to be spending a lot of time together. Film sets can be stressful. And if you're not good at communicating and you're not able to stay chill, and you don't ultimately want to service the project, be in service of the project, then like, just get the hell out of here.
Right.
Well, when it comes down to it, I mean, there's been many times I feel like probably the three of us collectively have worked for free for many, many times. And for the most part, I have no problem doing that if I'm having fun and it's a creative environment and the people that I'm working with are pleasant and there's a sense of joy and glee that we're all creating something together and there's that excitement. The minute it becomes, oh, it has to be like this, like super regimented, what's the point?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's just not. What are we doing?
What's the point? Yeah, what are we doing here, guys? Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for free anyway. Just kidding. But more or less what I mean is I am willing to put my time into it at very little pay if I love the people that I'm working with and love the environment that they cultivate. And it does seem like when you and Zev work together, especially when you have other friends on set, that there is a lot of joy and happiness and creativity, and it really shines through in the music videos that I've seen you guys all do together.
Dearest congregation, grab your rosaries. We are about to discuss occult topics.
And Zeb Deans is a very popular name within the Ghost community. And I believe he started off with Ghost by doing From the Pinnacle to the Pit music video, right? Was he balling on a budget for that one? What was the thought process behind that? Because it's a lot of imagery from movies or
it's a lot of Zev is an encyclopedia of like media obscura. He knows like
that's cool.
It's just like knows all this very weird shit, and often to his detriment. I give him shit for like overlooking something that's in the mainstream that I think is brilliant because he's fixated on some very bizarre thing that
right.
So most of the footage is from, I honestly have no idea what a lot of that footage is from, but the footage of Papa at the end, they filmed, I think in Sweden and shipped it over, and Zev incorporated that into it. But yeah, he was working on that video when we first met. That was like right when we moved together. He was piecing together. But yeah, that was like, I think that was Zev really starting the Zev Dean style was like really develop this sort of cult video collage, almost rotoscope style animation that is now sort of his trademark.
Right.
But yeah.
Oh yeah, it's very cool. It's very like Metropolis, and then there's
Madam Satan. I think
Madam Satan, is in there as well. It's very cool, and it does seem like it was like a audition music video to do the rest of the videos for Ghost, which leads me to Square Hammer because there's a similar look.
Yeah,
to that very similar look. How did you feel when Zev said, "Hey man, like we're doing another one, and I want you in it, and here's what I want you to do," because you played multiple parts. In that video.
That was actually the first video that Zev and I ever did together.
Oh shit!
Nice.
He and I had become roommates. We moved in together, and he Ghost hit him up to do the video, and Ghost was on tour at the time, or it was just like financially unfeasible to get Tobias to New York to film.
Right.
And Zev was like,
touring stuff too.
Yeah. So Zev was like, my roommate's an actor, ship us the costume and he'll do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how they shipped us a box. And this was like the old, like the huge, like OG Papa robe and
they're heavy, right?
Really heavy. And I think it was summertime too. It was like hot.
It's always the summer.
Yeah, it was hot.
It's always the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I was stoked. I mean, it was like to me, it was like I hadn't done much acting in a while because I had moved to New York a few years before that, and like said I was never going to act again, and I was a little bit nervous about it, but it was just really fun. I mean, that Square Hammer in particular, the how animated it was. I didn't really know how it was going to look. I mean, I knew how the Pinnacle to the Pit video looked, but I didn't really know. I just knew we had like set up this green screen, and we brought in a bunch of extras. I think online, we had all those extras. A lot of them are friends.
Yeah.
Zach Ezrin from Imperial Triumphant and Folterkammer plays the ghoul.
No way.
And then we just like duplicated him.
I didn't know the duplicate part.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So
that's great.
So I played all the Papas in that, and also myself.
Yeah, and
torch guy.
Torch guy.
Yeah, and like Zev put my name on the marquee.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And that is like, that's how I got involved with all you wackos, was because everybody figured out who the heck I am.
They found you. We will track everyone down. It's kind of creepy.
That one was really, really fun. Yeah, I mean, but all of that was filmed like in our apartment where we painted the wall green, and Zev just animated everything. I mean, it's like so cool.
That's wild.
The way it turned out.
you can't even tell. It just seems like you filmed that on like at least a big set and then edited in the clips afterwards. But the fact that it just took place in an apartment is very, very creative.
I hope that's not too demystifying, you know?
No, not at all. No.
Lord. Yeah, it was a hot Brooklyn day in a bushwick apartment that was like this crazy loft that we lived in, that we had to build our own rooms, and we built the film set on it. And yeah, it was a real wacky experience. But it was really fun. Not, like I said earlier, like, you know, it was just kind of, well, no, I'll get to all that stuff later.
Well, the thing is working with such a minimalistic set. I mean, that really goes back to the silent era, where they're
Very
like holding
so.
up a sun, like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're
sun
holding
is
waves. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like waves, like wooden waves
Yeah.
going like this, moving by, and a sea monster, you know, and
Right.
so it's so just minimalistic, and it's just, they're telling stories with the animation too.
Yes.
And then I love the because it was shot like a silent movie, you know, you had all the captions on there. I mean, it was so cool, and I love the journey of that music video, and you can tell you guys are having fun.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of fun. Yeah.
For instance, when you're in the movie theater as Papa, and then you stand up and like, and they're like,
Okay, so I've had
it's
people
so Scooby-Doo too. It's adorable.
Yeah, so the only reason that's like that is because I didn't know that. I think in the video we're in the front row.
Right.
And so in my head, I was like,
There's
well, I'm
another
going
row.
out of an aisle,
Mm-hmm.
because it was a green screen. There was it was me and Zach sitting there. So I was like getting up and shuffling through.
Yeah.
But then we're in the front row, so it's this absurd kind of dance thing. And
But it like
Perfect.
it feels very Terzo in how his character progresses.
yeah, I mean, it was, you know, Zev and I have a shared love of silent films and Nosferatu, Metropolis.
You can tell.
The list goes on and on. And so, you know, that, and we've done stuff where silent film acting has very much been like where I'm coming from, especially in music videos. I mean, they're effectively silent films. And Zev is nothing if not like cramming a narrative into a tiny music video, which is a real, I mean, that's, when I do music videos on my own, the stories are so minimal, like, because I think in tableaus and images or whatever, and Zev thinks in stories. He's like, this is we're gonna go here, there's this character and that character and whatever, this and that. And so, you know, working on a Zev Dean's video is exhausting because there's so much to get done. But he really creates these little worlds and these stories in his videos, and like Square Hammer, there's so much happening and it's such a short video. You go to all these different places and there's you know, and that, and so you have to bring that silent film style of acting to it, because you got to tell that story. And so that's kind of like, you know, why that video. I knew at the time, you know, that the aesthetic was going to be that of a silent film,
Right.
and so there was all that big, you know, everything was very animated. But yeah, that's something we've replicated 100 times, tons of
Right.
videos, like bringing that, and I'm always doing that kind of
Reactionary stuff.
The big reaction.
I mean, that Papa is just Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton.
I was gonna say he's very Charlie Chaplin. I was gonna say, was it like Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton that you were taking from when you were creating your Terzo? Nice.
Those reactions are great.
They are.
With the spats and everything. It was
Yes.
yeah, so that was easy to draw inspiration from that era with that costume on. Yeah,
and putting the Zev Dean's stamp on it too. Very much like stylistically. I'm wondering, did you guys receive any sort of direction, or was it mostly, hey, like I like we did with the last one, let it rip?
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you. I mean, I pretty much defaulted to Zev, and Zev directs me really well. He'll give me like a weird, obscure direction, and I'll just know exactly what he means and do it.
I love it.
And that's, you know, he and I think that, especially in that with that process was like I said, it was the first time we'd ever worked together, and we knew instantly that it was like, oh, like I know exactly where you're coming from. We're just on the same page. Like Zev and I walk onto a film set, we are completely on the same page the whole time, and it just our only obstacle is time, and that's pretty much it. And that's whether I'm acting or whether I'm behind the camera. Like it is.
So there's a lot of trust, because you talked about trust earlier. You must have had to trust him when he said you're going to be playing both of these roles. And at this point, we're going to have you as Papa next to the torch guy, and Papa's just going to magically levitate through the scene as the torch guy's following him. That was a hilarious part of the video as well. Like Papa's just like, like
Tai Chi.
That's what?
That was Tai Chi. Yeah, no,
Yes. Just levitating through.
No, that was. I think most of that glide was done for real. Like I was. Like,
oh wow!
Squat and just
nice.
I think Zev might have moved it a little bit, but yeah, that was. I was like, that was an exhausting shoot because it was so hot, that crazy costume, and I was like in a long lunge and just sort of trying to like glide across the.
Had anyone ever thought of just putting you on a skateboard and pulling you slowly?
Could have been done. But we like to make it hard. We like to make it hard on ourselves.
Of course, especially when you're already like jamming so much into that video. So I have to admit something. When I first watched the He Is music video, I laughed because I was like, this is a big departure from, I mean, I came from Secundo, it's like Papa 2, who was very like creepy, evil, like very Nosferatu, very Vincent Price, very Phantom of the Opera kind of vibes. And then we had videos like Year Zero and Secular Haze. So
I like that one.
That's a really cool one. Pinnacle's not too far off. It's a different style, obviously, from those ones, but it's still really dark and seedy and Gotham City kind of vibes. And same with Square Hammer too. But when He came out, it was so different. And I'm trying to remember the first thing that I really focused on was Papa in a white, tuxedo, and he's got the rose and he's sniffing it. And I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah.
However, upon watching it again and again and again and listening to the song again and again, I just grew to love it. And there were so many cool choices in that video that eventually I picked up on. And one being that you guys really embrace the whole like cult of personality, the whole culture of Ghost and their fans, without saying anything bad. But the whole Tony Alamo thing was just genius.
Yeah.
To bring that kind of character to life on the stage, and then you embody that. Is that something that you came up with? Was that Zev's idea? And then what was your reaction, your thought process when he's like, okay, here's what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, that one is funny because I mean we filmed that in Detroit in an abandoned church, and I mean, this was at this point Zev and I had a lot of trust, and we really were like, we would just do shit by the seat of our pants, and he had a lot of that idea was I can't say exclusively, but I mean that's a Zev Dean's video.
Yeah,
like the cult element, the satire in the face of the thing you're satirizing, how subversive that video is. It's just awesome. And I had we had gotten the costume back in New York, and I tried it on, and he was like, you're gonna be doing a preacher thing, and I was like, all right, cool. But that character didn't come to life until he called action. Like I really winged it.
Nice. It was not a fully thought out, like, this is how I'm going to act.
yeah, I mean, I knew I was going to be a preacher in a church, and I was like, okay, fair enough. But then once, I think we talked about this a while ago, Ash, like
Yes.
this like when you are in a church surrounded by a congregation and they're like applauding you and all this stuff, and like, wearing a mask, no one knew it was me. I was like,
that's rad.
and then I appeared, and then I came back out there, and like no one knew that like the dork in the glasses was the same dude.
The Superman moment.
And so I was like, I mean, you just felt that energy, that like adoration. And I was like, okay, I get how sinister this whole thing is. And so it went from just being this sort of like figuring out, I had to learn the words of the song.
Yes.
Right.
I was the song 100 times at that point already. But it was like, yeah, I mean, and like I'm from Georgia, so like it was really easy to tap into like the Southern Baptist preacher thing or whatever. But the energy and like the intense kind of vibe that is going on in that video is just solely from what it was like on set, being that character and being like, oh my God, you can, the manipulation.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy. And so it was like, I just like exploded, and Zev was like, go.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think he gave me blocking notes, and that was it. And everything else was just like going nuts. I mean, I was yelling at the top of my lungs in like a Southern drawl with just yelling nonsense and all the B-roll shots and stuff. And yeah, that one was wild. Really fun, and still the most fun video I've ever worked on with that by far.
I mean, it's so unhinged, but also it's beautiful. And I'm glad that you brought up how you're yelling in a Southern accent. Do you remember what you were yelling? I mean, you were pushing on someone's forehead. There were people looking like they were like talking in tongues. And do you remember what you were saying?
I was just making it up as I went along.
Shamalama.
I mean, it was your typical Southern, fire and brimstone fare.
Yeah.
It was, and we were doing the sort of baptism stuff, and it was just kind of bizarro stream of consciousness, Baptist preacher rambling.
I can see how you could just immediately slip into something like that. Like you said, given the environment, the context, the fact that you're hidden behind the mask too, no one knew who you were. You could just get into it.
Right.
It did look like you were having a lot of fun as well during the baptism scene.
Oh, right. Yeah. And there's the whole scene.
Where was that filmed, by the way? Was that outside the church?
It was also around Detroit. Somebody knew somebody with a lake house. The producer,
nice.
Christian, knew someone who had a lake behind their house, and we went there, and we just, got real culty.
Yeah, we did. That was fun.
Yeah, I was cold too. I was wearing like a wetsuit under I felt really bad for all of the baptises. What do you call them? Baptises?
Sure.
It was cold. It was really, really cold. And I felt bad to be like dunking them all in. And but yeah, it was really funny. Just people running around in white robes. Like it was just so, like Manson family, just super culty. Yeah. And Tony Alamo died while we were filming the video too.
Which is super spooky, right? Did you say he died like the day before or right when you started?
Yeah, it was around the time. It was either while we were shooting, because it took us 3 days to shoot it. We did the intro stuff.
Great. 3 days. Damn.
The church stuff, and then the lake stuff the following day.
That's wild.
Because he had was it Tony Alamo Ministries, and then he also wanted to be like a famous country singer.
Oh God.
I've listened to a few of his songs. I mean, they're not bad.
And a fashion designer as well. I mean, he designed
all the jackets.
Yeah.
Jackson, and like massive celebrities wore his.
Cher, I think. Yeah, there were a lot of people wearing his jean jackets. I think.
Yeah, they're hideous.
Oh yeah, they're like bedazzled and sparkly, and you're like, ooh.
Creepy dude. Yeah.
Once in a while, you'll see one of those jackets up on eBay or something, and someone's like, "Oh, I found this in this random town at a thrift store, and I saw the patch in it, and like, holy shit, it's crazy."
I found a guy at Columbus Circle in Manhattan handing out Tony Alamo Ministries pamphlets.
No way.
Yeah, they're still around.
Video too. I was like, wow.
They're still around. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So after you guys did He Is, I'm assuming there was a lot more attention on that music video because it's so big. It's just such a big story that you guys are telling, and it's so bombastic. There's so many things going on, and just the energy with that is amazing. And so it does make sense that you guys would be brought back to do another music video for Ghost, which was Dance Macabre.
Yeah.
And that's very different as well. What I picked up on immediately, I mean, it's kind of obvious, I think, in the beginning, is that there's a Rocky Horror Picture Show element to it. And to me, Liz seems like very Dr. Frankenfurter. Like that's her vibe, like, come in. And then obviously we have Bradley playing the door guy, that's same kind of vibe from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Was that the idea behind it? It was going to be something like that, with some vampires added?
Yeah, I think it was just like a hodgepodge of like all things kind of 80s,
70s, 80s,
like vampires and Rocky Horror and disco, pretty much everything that I rattle off at the beginning.
Yeah.
This kind of like house party, rock and roll kind of thing. I think Ghost was entering into a new era.
Yes.
And, so we were trying to capture all that, and there was this whole kind of like expository element, like this kind of prologue thing with Justin and Liz, and like the birth, the character, and everything. And I know Zev was, inspired by some Hammer horror type stuff for that as well. Yeah.
That's very cool. You've been described by Liz Fenning as a vampire juice box in that music video. How does it feel to be reduced to such a small role as just a vampire juice box? How does that feel?
I don't know. I feel totally denigrated.
Are you outraged?
I'm outraged. Cancel Liz.
Oh no.
No, we can't cancel Liz. Liz is like the
cancel Liz.
No,
I'm kidding. She is the sweetest.
Yeah, love her. I mean, I didn't know that she was going to be in that video.
Did you see just on cast list and you went, oh holy shit, or was it like the day of you went?
I don't look at the call sheets. Zev and I show up together and we leave together. Whatever.
Got it.
So I look at the call sheet, and I showed up on set and I was like, hey, and at this point I've been living in New York for many years, and I hadn't seen Liz since we shot that movie. OMG, we're in a horror movie. Very funny.
Yes.
Ghost movie that she
on YouTube.
On YouTube, and it's in German, apparently, which you can watch.
My favorite.
But it was so awesome to see her and like catch up, and then do this thing together, and it created this like other kind of element to our friendship. I think this other like bonding thing, because the film was like everybody else except for Liz, I think. Yeah, every other cast member in that movie except for Liz went to Cal Arts with me.
Oh wow!
Liz was the only person that wasn't either from my graduating company or another graduating company at acting school. And so Liz came in as an outsider, and she was like amazing. So there was like a bond there because everyone was so green, like no one knew what we were doing. Like I had just graduated from acting school that year. It was like the first thing I did out of school.
Oh my gosh.
Movie. And so it was like Liz and I already had that bond, and then to have been in this ghost video together and have it be a huge cult thing is pretty cool. So I love Liz.
I would like to talk about something that happened recently that I sent you some screenshots of, Brendan. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. There was a white suit, white and gold suit that was purchased from what I'm assuming was Amazon.
He's like, oh yeah.
By you or Zev Deans, and you wore that in the Ghost music video for He Is. It's an iconic look. I own a suit just like that.
You did a great job with the
thank you. Thank you. However, the one that you wore, that you sweated in for 3 days, was up for auction in a Ghost Facebook forum. And it went for several $1,000s, several thousand. Yeah. And I am wondering, Brendan, how does that feel?
It feels pretty cool.
It is cool. It's funny, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely like that's a lot more money than any of us made on that music video.
Oh, wow.
So it is very funny that it is just like it's out there like that. You know, we all worked really hard on that video. So for a piece of it to be valued in that way is rad. You know, I got bills to pay, so if you want to give me a cut.
I know, you're like, could someone give like some to charity? Can you give me like some too? You know, it makes sense because I mean, did you purchase that suit or did Zev buy that?
Probably on Amazon. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
I love it.
I think, you know, I don't know, everything should go to charity. That's you know, with especially with the Ghost, like this is, you know, a poor segue into this, but like I wanted to talk about you and how you've like managed to successfully mobilize Ghosts fandom and its frenzy for good consistently for years. Which I think is just, I mean, I remember making a video like this pre-pandemic for you for something that you were raising money for, and you know, like Ghost fandom has this like frenzy about it, and you just have this like natural inclination to be like, take that energy and
put it here,
in a good direction, which is why, like, you know, I had all like Ghost stuff lying around that either Loma Vista had given me or stuff that I bought back in the day. Like that was a Ghost tour shirt from like 2010, I think. And it was like, it felt so good to be able to give that to you, knowing that you would like turn it over and all that money would go somewhere good and valuable. And I think that's like a skill. That's like a kind of philanthropy that's super valuable. And I want to commend you for that because it's very cool.
I'm turning red. Thank you. But
I've been red all the time. It's the most uncomfortable experience of my life. So get on.
Sorry. He's like, I'm so uncomfortable. Oh my God. Well, I can't do it without the help from other people. And it did mean a lot when I was doing the call to action to give to some civil rights organizations. And you made a video about that. Like, hey, don't just repost stuff online. Don't just say, hey, I stand with you. Like, you need to donate and put the work in, like on the ground too. And so thank you for that. And then we did a fundraiser for a historic building, and you donated some things that we could use in a prize drawing. And from proceeds from that prize drawing, we put a portion of that to THAP. It's like Trans Housing Atlanta program or project. And thank you for that. And you made a video for that too. So, I mean, like I can yell, you know, at the top of my lungs, hey, these things are important, but having people also within or adjacent to that community help out with that, it's really important too. So thank you as well.
I mean, it's extremely valuable. And I just think like when you have like a group of people at your, you know, that you can reach out to, and you can create a collective you know, mobilizing them in the way that you do for good is incredible. So, in spite of the fact that unless I'm wearing a crazy costume, it's hard to get me on camera like right now.
And I did it 3 times now.
I will always show up to like assist you in those things because it's just super valuable and cool.
And then it's gonna cry. So thank you.
No.
I'm gonna weep as soon as this thing is over. So.
Do we all have anxiety? Is that all our thing?
Yeah, I got a little.
You have a little bit of anxiety, so that's why probably you feel a little bit more liberated when you have a bunch of makeup on or a mask on.
Yeah, I mean, I think
right? I can relate.
I think people get into acting for a number of reasons, but I think I'd say it's a split between, you know, I don't think anybody that is acting is devoid of a certain sense of vanity, but I do think that there is an element of like the freedom of being hidden. And that has always been what's been like the most alluring about it to me, which is why all this stuff really popped off, because I was like completely hidden. And I mean, it's just always been my thing. I often won't take an acting job unless I know I will look really, really different in that role, because I gotta hide.
Brandon, what's next for you? Because you had previously said you sort of did like a soft retire from acting. Now you're in an awesome band. It's going to start touring again. You're doing your tattoo artistry. Is there anything else that you're looking forward to working on, or are you just going to cultivate in those areas and progress there?
Yeah, I mean, those things are really fun, and so I kind of want.
They look fun.
I kind of want to keep those going. I think you know, film making in any capacity is still my first love, and kind of always will be. And I've really been enjoying DPing and like cinematography. It's just something I fell into, and I love doing it. And so I have plenty of projects coming up with that. I mean, that will probably consistently be the thing. I'll be shooting films, you know, hopefully forever.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, that is work. That at this point, that's my day job, you know. And you know, I want to focus on the band, and tattooing is just so much fun. And so yeah, I don't know what's next. I'm just gonna keep trying weird stuff, and if it's fun, I'll keep doing it.
That's my philosophy too, right? Yeah. Is that fun? Is it interesting? Am I going to be like inspired creatively and kind of push out of my comfort zone? Let's do it.
Yes.
Yeah. I just don't like. To me, it's just anything that's fun. That doesn't involve me like waiting tables or behind a desk. I'll do it. Yeah.
Where can people not only find your band, find your tattoo work, and do you have like a YouTube channel or anything with?
I don't have a YouTube
playlist?
channel. No? I try to keep everything on my Instagram, but that's kind of hard. It's kind of a little all over the place. I try to keep it streamlined, but it's difficult. So most of it is there.
Okay.
The band is everywhere. Like, you know, we're on Century Media, so all of our stuff comes out on the Century Media platforms. But yeah, we're on Spotify and yada yada, and we'll be on tour soon enough, and you can check us out there.
Nice.
And then yeah, music videos will just always be coming out. We had a video come out for Unto Others, and then yeah, there's just Zev and I are always making music videos. I'm always making music videos. They're just gonna keep coming.
Clergy Talk, where faith takes flight, guiding souls.